Hi Kate, how are you doing today?
Alright.
Okay, good to hear. Right, today's session is we're going to look at the power and control wheel, and we're going to build on some work we've done previously around your abusive behaviours you identified. And what we're going to do today is we're going to sort of categorise them today, so you sort of get an understanding of how your abuse takes form.
Okay.
Alright?
Mhm.
So it gives you a better idea of what you're doing is actually harming someone else. Okay? And there may be some stuff you're not quite sure of and how it fits in. So the first thing we're going to look about is technology. So how do you think technology can be used, and what do you understand by technology?
What you mean, like phones and things?
So yeah, mobile phones are a really good thing. Yeah.
Maybe Facebook.
Yeah.
Is that technology, or would that be something?
Yeah, you know it's technology. Yeah.
Yeah,
So anything to do with
yeah,
computers,
yeah.
electronics will be technology.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked before and stuff, and we're just going to try and jog your memory. So how do you think one way you may have been abusive towards your mum? Either from the phone or from your use of Facebook.
Well, I wrote a few nasty comments on Facebook
Okay.
about her to my friends, but that was just to my friends.
Okay. But it's still abusive. And what's all these nasty words? Was it just like she's lazy or that, or are they specific?
Well, no, I was calling her a bitch because she was bugging me.
Okay. And I spoke to her, and you remember when your mum saw your Facebook page and you left it open? So she sees that, and don't forget some of her friends have access to your site. So she then hears those nasty words you use. So that is a form of abuse. So if you can write down for me, so however you want to phrase it, I thought quite like what if you want to use nasty words, it's up to you. So you put down Facebook comments, but that's not very specific. That could be really nice things you said about your mum. And were they? So you put something specific down you may have called her or said about her.
Alright.
And here, remember, no one's here to judge you. This is about your behaviour and understand what's done. But anything else that was colourful that you may have called her? And again, I'm not here to judge you. I think it's best if you get it out now. We can move on. Okay. And is there anything else?
So I was lazy and that? Is that
Okay. Yeah,
something?
put that down as well, yeah. You've just written down some of the words you've used against mum. How do you feel if that was done about you and you saw that on the Facebook page?
Well, I wouldn't like it, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't like it at all.
So you understand how that is abusive then?
Yeah, I guess so. I hadn't really thought of it like that, though. Yeah. I was just saying what I was feeling.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, 'cause it's quite brave to admit to that. And I want you to hold on to how that felt for you in future, okay? So now what we're going to do, we're going to move on to the next piece of slice, although they're not pieces, you can't eat them, and we're going to go through the same process again.
Okay.
What's that say at the top?
Emotional abuse.
Okay, so what do you understand by emotional abuse?
I don't know, calling her names maybe, but I already said that.
Okay, so that was via your technology, which you said, but do you ever call her names to her face?
Oh, they call her a slag and a bitch, and
I know it's hard to remember, this is about your behaviour, not you as a human being. So I just want you to get out and think it's a chance to sort of tell us what's been going on, and then we can move on, okay? And I know it's really difficult for you.
yeah, well, I'd say it's her fault for my dad leaving.
Okay, so another thing, you use blame as well. Okay, so let's write some of those things down. Let's put some of the swear words down first.
I called her a whore.
And the next word. And again, I'm not here to judge you, we just want to get this out of your system at the moment. And the two you used earlier, do you remember the technology? Let's get them down because that seems to be part of your vocabulary there. So slag. So what do these words relate to? If you read them out, so whore, slag, bitch, what are they?
Their names I used to call my mum, I suppose.
Yeah.
Is the word.
So where do you think these names normally have? You call them your mum, but where else do you normally hear them? Who are they normally towards? Is it normally towards males or females you hear these sort of words?
Always females.
Okay. So this is what we call misogynistic language. It's like anti-women. So whore, slag, bitch. Sort of meant to people being loose, doesn't it? Low morals and stuff. So really hurtful words.
Yeah.
And again, we've talked about whether you'd like to be called these, haven't we? Okay.
Yeah.
But again, it's good to be honest. And then you can now start thinking whether you want to use these words. Okay. You mentioned something really quite poignant just a moment ago and important in your life about your dad. So can you write that down for me? Dad left. Okay. So you blame your mum for your dad leaving?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
It was her fault.
Okay, so you're still holding on to it as her fault. So you blame your mum for your dad leaving,
Yeah.
and you blame her specifically, and you don't think your dad had any part of that at all, even though we know some of the history of some of his abusive behaviours? And you blame mum? But this is something you use as a tool against her.
Well, I heard a lot of stuff was going on at the time,
Okay.
and it feels like it was because of her. They argued a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Clearly, I don't know everything, but
But in your heart and things, you feel like.
Yeah, I'm really upset that he's gone, and she's the one that's made him go.
Okay. So you're going to keep punishing her and punishing her, are you, in the home?
Don't know. Really.
Okay. But do you understand why this might hurt her? The fact that she's here for you every day. What does she do for you every day? I know you don't always respect what she does or appreciate maybe, but what does she do for you just daily?
She makes breakfast.
Okay.
She picks me up from school sometimes.
She comes to the school meetings with us, doesn't she, as well and stuff. Okay, she does quite a lot, and it must be quite hurtful for her when she's there for you every day, and you know, and sometimes I know you don't see your dad every fortnight and stuff, and so I just wondered how that felt really for her, and then you saying it to her.
It probably upsets her. I know it upsets her. That's why I say it.
And do you understand why it is abusive then?
Yeah, I get that now. Yeah.
Because she's really trying to. Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, because it sounded like it's really difficult for you. Is there anything else you want to add to this, or do you want to move on to the next part?
No, I think that's quite a lot already.
Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm.
You're doing really well here. And again, remember for this last exercise, this is one of the last times we're going to ask you to talk about your abusive behaviours, then going to move on, okay?
Okay.
To look how we can change it.
Yeah.
So the final part we're going to do is, again, continue what we've done before, so you know the format. Again, I just want you to read that out to me and then tell me what you think it means.
Threats and intimidation.
And what does that mean to you, Kate?
Means threatening to do something that's bad, probably.
Yeah. And what about the intimidation bit? What sort of forms of intimidation take place, do you think?
I'm not sure about that one.
Okay, well, we can explore that a bit further when we go through some of your examples from before. So can you think of some times where you think you may have threatened your mum?
Well, there's times when I threatened to do something because she's not giving me the money that I wanted.
Okay, so let's just rewind that bit. So you want some money, and then you
Yeah.
told me you make a threat to get this money. So
Yeah.
can you tell me what that threat is? And again, I'm not judging you. This is about your behaviour, and this is for you to understand. And then maybe we can look at unlocking it all. Okay. So take your time.
Well, I threatened to stay out all night, sleep with people that I don't know.
Okay, so you've made threats about staying out from home all night and then sleeping with people. Okay, do you want to write that down? Can I ask you what sort of people you might be sleeping with that your mum's so worried about? Is it lots of people? Is it one sort of person? Is it a group of people?
Well, it's just random people I meet on the street.
Okay, so do you want to put street people or random people? So how do you think it feels for your mum, or if you could put yourself as a mum in the future, if a young person, your daughter, came to you and said, I could sleep with random or street people?
I would hate it. Really hate it.
Okay. So you get the impact it has on your mum now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Okay. I'm going to ask you a quick question. Do you understand why I'm getting you to write the things out on each time, as well as talk about it to me, which is slightly different than normal?
I guess I hadn't really thought of that as abuse.
Okay.
I just thought it was a way of me getting the money I wanted.
Okay. And I've asked you to write it down, so you actually have to take ownership of you, so it's actually in front of you. So you've actually had to read it as well as talk to me, and it's going in your head, okay? So you're doing really well here. And again, and think about this as sort of a confession bit for you, okay, before we move on. So is there any other way that you may make threats or intimidate your mum to get what you need or want?
Well, I've cut a few times. Sometimes I...
Okay. You're saying you've cut, now, I could be really... You mean cut things or you're...
I've cut myself.
Okay. So you've actually physically cut yourself? Okay. So you have made it an intimidation. Do you want to write that down for me? Okay, you've written cutting. Do you want to finish the sentence? Or the word, what you want to express? Okay. So you've written cutting myself. Do you actually cut yourself, or is it just a threat to cut yourself?
I did it a long time ago, but I know it upsets her.
Okay. So in the past you have cut yourself, which is really harmful for you and upsetting, but also for your mum as well, seeing her daughter in that much pain or distress that's willing to hurt herself. It's quite difficult. Okay, so it's another way you can be abusive. Okay. And you're telling me now, you're sure you're not cutting yourself at the moment, it is just a threat? Okay, thank you.
It's a threat. I've not done it for a while.
Okay. Because you understand, obviously, if it is coming up, we need to take that forward. But obviously I would tell you again the confidentiality. Okay. So anything else on these the threats and intimidation you may think of your behaviour, anything else you may not think, and we can just talk through it quickly just to see whether it is abusive behaviour. And you don't have to search things if they're not there, but just think honestly for yourself, because this is your last chance to get everything out of your system.
Well, I'm much taller than her and she's quite little, so I can be quite intimidating, I imagine, when I stand quite close to her.
Okay.
I think.
So do you want to write that down? Either standing over and close, and it was really interesting. You recognise that was intimidating. Now you admitted you're tall now. You stand over, and then you add in some of the words we used previously. It's quite intimidating, threatening, emotionally abusive. This has been a really difficult session for you. You've been really strong. I want to thank you for that. And this is going to be the last chance, okay? So what we're going to start moving on to is how we can actually change some of the behaviour. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kate, for today.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, it's really good seeing you. Today we're going to look at the mutual respect wheel, which is sort of the flip side of the Duluth model we talked about with the wheel. And the idea of this is really for you to identify how you can be treat other people better, really, be more mutually respectful, and also what skills you've learned on the programme that we can then use. Okay? So the first one we're going to start off with is technology.
Okay.
Okay, so we talked before around you having a mobile phone and not answering it. So how could you be respectful with your phone so you're not being abusive towards your mum?
I can pick it up. I can pick up the phone when she calls.
Okay, that's a really good example of how to be mutually respectful. So can we might pick it up in there? So again, picking up the phone is respectful, because if you ring your mum and she doesn't answer, you get quite frustrated, and sort of let your mum what's going on. Even if she doesn't like it, at least you know where you are. Okay, do you remember we talked a lot about Facebook? Okay,
Yeah.
and you used Facebook quite negatively, didn't you? So how could you use Facebook in a positive way, or how could you make sure you're not abusive on it?
Well, I could start putting names on there about her,
Okay.
and
So you could choose not to be abusive. So it's just personal choice. This is the best thing. So just put down that, choose not to. Because this is really good. The power of choice is more important. But you're going to say something else to me around, I could do this instead. And I think that's really interesting to get down.
Well, I've got some nice photos of her I could put on there.
Okay, so put that down then. So put nice photos up of her. It's a really good way to be mutually respectful towards your mum. What else could you put on Facebook that might be more respectful?
Well, I could write about happy birthday. It was her birthday last week.
Brilliant. So write down happy birthday to mum. So again, so if your mum just sneak a look at your Facebook page where you left it open, seeing nice pictures or happy birthday or seeing no abusive words is going to make her feel better about herself.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now going to move on to the next part. Recognising the needs of others. So what does that mean to you?
More thinking about other people, maybe.
Brilliant. Yeah, so thinking of other people. Okay, so if we think back again, remember we're looking at sort of how we're going to treat people with better respect. So this is sort of the opposite of when you were calling your mum names. So now you're not calling your mum names, and I've heard your mum talk in the parents group that you're not calling her names anymore. So what are you doing instead?
Being nice to her.
So you're being nice to her. So what form does that take, or how do you treat her nicely?
Well, I said thank you for making the dinner.
Okay, that's really good. So saying thank you for things they've done. Saying thanks. Okay. So you said you're not shouting her or swearing at them. So what are you doing with your mum, or how are you speaking to her?
I said she looks nice.
Okay. So you use specific nice words. So you use nice terms. Okay. Do you want to write that down for me?
Okay.
But you're also talking to her in a different way. You've told me. So how are you talking to her? So obviously you're saying nice things, but how are you talking to her?
Well, I say what I want. I use that thing we used.
Okay, that thing we used, what thing was that? Can you remember anything from it? Any words or stuff
Right.
that said?
Where I say I want this because of this. Rather
Brilliant.
than...
Can you remember what that was called?
No, not really.
Okay, that was called iMessaging, and that's a really good strategy to use. So that's exactly what you said, and then you went Phil, and we can go through that again at the end if you don't understand. So let's write down iMessaging as a tool. And how are you speaking to your mum?
Politely, more politely than I was
Okay,
before.
so more polite. So let's put down polite. It's okay, it's excellent work today. You've obviously used tools from the programme, and you've identified things you can do, okay? So that's what I want you to remember. This whole task was really to identify skills you've used and how you can treat people with more respect. And also we're going to use some of this now for our plan for when we finish the group. So again, I really thank you for the work you've done today.